Tonight we're going to speak about the incense. Incense was a korban, and we're going to explain to him. Funny enough, this coming week, Parashat Kitisa, they will speak about the incense, the Parashat Korbanot, we call it. What does it mean? Pituma Ketoret. Be'ezrat Hashem, tonight we'll try to introduce how important is Ketoret, Pituma Ketoret. That means the spices. So where is the source for it? The source for it, as I mentioned, come from Sefer Shmot, Parashat Kitisa, in chapter 30, verse 34. There the Torah speak about the spices that the Kohen Gadol have to sacrifice once a year in Kodesh HaKodashim, and every day the Kohen, that's not the Kohen Gadol, that's a normal Kohen, have to do the spices. And we'll explain everything. The other source within in the Talmud and Masechet Keritut in page 6, folio 1, there the Torah tell us that actually there the Hazal bringing the Braita. What is a Braita? Braita is a Mishnah. That's all. It's a Mishnah. It's a Mishnah that Rabbi Yehuda Nasi never brought inside the Mishnayot. For some reason, he didn't see it so important, or whatever other reason, that he didn't think that it really belonged there. So what is he done? What is he done? He brought he put them outside, but the Braita come in a Gemara, and that way it say that's what is a Braita. And what are the 11 spices? The 11 spices here. And now, Mr. Schenker, I need you. I'm going to read them in Hebrew, and then you're going to read the 11 spices in English. They are Hachiri, Hachiporen, Haelbena, Levona, Moruktia, Shibolet Nered, Ve Charkum, Hakoshet, Klofa, Kinamon.
Number one, first is Stector, Onica, Galbanum, frankincense, myrrh, cassia, spikenard, saffron, costus, aromatic bark, cinnamon, kashina lye. Well, I think that's it.
That's it, yeah. Kinamon. Yeah. So those are the 11 spices. And the Hazal explained to us during the time of Bet HaMikdash, they used to take all of those 11 spices, they used to mix it together. And with that, they used to bring the sacrifice that's called Korbanot Ketoret. And they used to sacrifice it, funny enough, on Mizbeach HaZahav, the golden altar, okay? And they used to sacrifice twice a day, once in the morning, and one Ben Arbaim, between midday and midnight. That's when they used to bring. The Kohen Gadol, as I explained earlier, used to do it once a year, the Korbanot Ketoret, and he used to sacrifice on Yom Kippur, and he used to enter that to Holy of Holiness. That's that he used to do, the Kohen Gadol. The Gemara in Masechet Yoma, in 26 folio 1, Hazal tell us that every Kohen that used to sacrifice the Ketoret used to become rich. Immediately, he become very rich. And that we'll see later on, where's it come, all of those virtue and how's it fit. Therefore, Hazal tell us in the Gemara in Masechet Yoma, in page 26, folio 1, that they used to do, funny enough, the lottery, okay, every day. Who gonna bring the sacrifice of the spices? Not only that, Hazal in a Braita tell us there, okay, that Hazal teach us in a Braita, that they used to do the lottery twice a day. Why? Because it was one Kohen in the morning and one Kohen, different Kohen in the between day and night. That's mean what we call it the Ben Arbaim. Ben Arbaim is the just before sunset, in the time of davening mincha. And Hazal tell us why did they used to do the lottery? That the Kohen that already serve the spices can never do it anymore. Why? So he can be rich. Now, if they wouldn't do a lottery, people will take it personally and they say, how come I didn't have a chance to do it? So they used to do lottery. Listen to that. In Talmud Yerushalmi, in Masechet Yoma, in chapter 2, law number 3, Chazal explaining that also that Cohen that used to bring the pen to put the spicy inside used to become rich from it. Not only that, Chazal in the Gemara in Masechet Yoma in page 39, folio 2, telling us that the string of that spices was so strong that when they used to sacrifice the Korban HaKetoret, the sacrifice of the Ketoret, okay, the smell used to be so strong that the goat in Jericho used to sneeze from it. Also, Chazal tell us that every bride that used to get married in Jerusalem never used to put a perfume. Didn't need to put a perfume. Why? Because the strength of the Korban HaKetoret was so strong that she didn't even need to put a perfume because no one will smell it. So we see from here, we're learning that Korban HaKetoret have a lot of beautiful things. And we'll get to the virtue just now. So that was during the time that Bet HaMikdash was exist, and everything was Baruch Hashem okay at that time. But after the destruction, what happened? Because we can't sacrifice anymore the Korban HaKetoret, the spices. Chazal constitute for us to say in Shachrit, okay, while we're saying the Korbanot, to say the spices. And we'll see later on that it's not only on Shachrit, there is Shachrit, we'll see that there's different minhagim be'ezrat Hashem. And we'll see why did they constitute for us to say the spices, okay? Now I would like to move to a different level there, the virtue of the spices, the Korban HaKetoret. Chazal in a Gemara in Masechet Shabbat in page 88, folio 2 and 89, folio 1. Listen to that. Chazal tell us something extraordinary. That when Moshe Rabbeinu gone up to heaven to bring down the Holy Torah, okay, he needed to give him the angel an answer. How come that he can take the Holy Torah that was 974 generations before he came, and now we want to bring it down to earth, to a human being, to the nation of Israel? And when Moshe Rabbeinu answered them, Chazal tell us in the Gemara that all the angels, every different angel that was in heaven, not only that thanks him, giving him each one a present. Not only that, even the angel of death giving him a present. What is the present? It's not physical present. Chazal explained there that the angel of death revealed to him a secret. Listen to that. That in a time that there is difficult or bad decrees on the Jewish people, there's tragedy happen, plagues in the world, he should say Petom HaKetoret, people should say Petom HaKetoret. In that time they say that you should sacrifice, and that will change the decree that there is on a Jewish people. So that means that the virtue of the Korban HaKetoret, that's what we call the spice or the incense, that can change bad decree on a human being. Any bad decree, any tragedy, it can avoid any tragedy, any plagues that come into the world, if we said. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, now I'm jumping to the Zohar, in Parashat Vayakhel, the Zohar HaKadosh, in Parashat Vayakhel, okay, in page Resh Yud Het, that means 218, folio 2. Chazal tell us there that the importance of saying Parashat HaKetoret. And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said that if human being would know the importance and the virtue of saying Ketoret every day, they will never skip it in the morning, because many people skip it in the morning when they daven. But the important is so important that they would take every word, and from that they will make a crown to themselves. Because the Parashat Ketoret is so strong that it can do absolutely miracle. And we say that Parashat Ketoret can avoid, as Chazal tell us in the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat, page 88, folio 2, 89, folio 1. Chazal say that it can save the Jewish people from plague. Where do we see it? Chazal tell us in Sefer Bamidbar in Parashat Korah, and we all know the sad story with Korah and his followers in chapter 17 and verse 13. There Chazal tell us that when the plague started and people start dying, what happened? Immediately Aaron HaKohen ran with the spices, and he stood between those that was alive to those that was dead. And that happened also when it happened also, Rabotai, in the golden calf, that Aaron stopped the plague. So it's the power of that korban, that call the spices or the incense, is to save the people from the punishment of death. Rabbi Chaim Palagi, born in the city of Izmir in Turkey. He born around 234 years ago. He wrote a book, Ruach Chaim. In his book, Ruach Chaim, in page 130, no, in chapter 132, verse 4, listen what he said, that a person that read Parashat Ketoret on a scroll that been written Bektav Ashuri. What does it mean, Ktav Ashuri? Ktav Ashuri is the same letters that we write the Torah. It's a bit different to the Hebrew letters. It's a segula for richness, and his business going to be succeeded. That when a person take the spices, okay, that parsha, and he read the parsha of the incense on a scroll with the Ktav Ashuri, okay, that's the same way that we write the Sefer Torah. It's a remedy for prosperity. And not only that, that his business will be successful. Chazal tell us in Midrash HaNe'elam, listen to that. In Midrash HaNe'elam, Chazal tell us that in the power of reading the incense every morning, and we'll see that's not only every morning, it's also if you can do it every day before Mincha, we'll see just now, it's to cancel bad decree. In a book that's called Yeshuot Israel, it said that reading the Parashat Petom HaKetoret, it's a remedy for success and salvation. Now, Harav Moshe Steinbuch, you all hear about Harav Moshe Steinbuch. Harav Moshe Steinbuch wrote in his book Tshuvot ve'Anhagot, volume 1, okay, in page, I think 704, if I'm not mistaken. He said that when a person said the Ketoret, if he say it with melody, with the full kavana, it's those people that battling to have kids. It's a segula for those that want to have children, so they can have a children. That's Rav Moshe Steinbuch. And if they say it, then he repeat, and he say, but you have to say it twice a day. It's not enough only in the morning. The person have to say it at least twice a day. Rav Alexander Ziskin, he born 283 years ago in Belarus. He wrote the famous book, Yesod V'Shoresh HaAvodah, in chapter 5, verse 9. He said like this, that saying the Petom HaKetoret actually hurrying up the redemption of the Jewish people. In Midrash Tanhuma, and with that I'm going to end because there's many more versions. They said that in Midrash Tanhuma, okay, in Ot Tet Zayin, that means letters number 16, call it chapter 16, they say that a person that say the Ketoret, it's equivalent to sacrificing the spices. That means from here we see her favorite Parashat Ketoret in the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The time that we should say Petom HaKetoret. Petom HaKetoret, the person should say it only during the day. We're not allowed to say it at night. Okay? You say it during the day, you never say it at night. Petom HaKetoret, you can say from after midnight until sunset. But during sunset, you can't say that. Only after midnight, you can start saying it. In Erev Shabbat, sometimes it's happened that, especially in winter, that it's become dark very quickly and you have to say it, you can still say Petom HaKetoret, but not on Motzei Shabbos, only on Friday night. Okay, now, how many times a day that we should say it? So the custom of the Sfaradim, to read Petom HaKetoret once when we read about all the sacrifices in Shaharit, the second time just before Alenu Leshabeach, and then just before we saying at Mincha Ashre, just before Mincha. The custom of the Ashkenazim, from what I see, that they say it once a day, when we say all the Korbanot, when we say the sacrifices in the morning. Okay, so from here we see different opinion, but we see from here that Rav Steinbuch said that the person should say it at least twice a day if they're battling to have kids. So it's a remedy that people that battling to have kids. So until here we explain simply the idea and the virtue. When I say simply on according to the pshat of the dvarim, what is the idea behind saying the Petom HaKetoret? But after all of that, we have to understand what's the secret behind it. Because just to say that it's a remedy for that, it's a remedy for that, but how's that remedy work? How's that remedy work? And why Dafka, the spices, the korban that we call the incense, that the Kohanim used to do lottery for it. A matter of fact, every Kohen wanted to merit to sacrifice that. You know why? Because he knew that he's going to be rich. So every Kohen wanted it. Why is it so important? Why we see that from all the sacrifices that there is, from all the sacrifice that there is, the spices came as a sacrifice or a parasha, we call it parasha today, that have a lot of remedy, a lot of secret behind. So Be'ezrat Hashem, today I'm going to bring one idea, and then I'm going to go even deeper later on what the mystical rabbi explained. So one of the idea is we have to understand, we say that one of the spices that we have amongst the 11 spices is the helbena. What is the helbena? Helbena, that's the galbanum. I don't know what is galbanum. Thank you, Mark. I don't know what is galbanum. I really don't know. Galbanum. Anyone have any idea what is galbanum? Mark, you know anything?
It's got a bad smell.
Obviously, it's a spice that has smells, and now we see what Rashi HaKadosh said. Rashi HaKadosh, born in the city of Troyes in the north of France 982 years ago, and in his commentary to Parashat Ki Tisa, that we're going to read this coming Shabbos in chapter 30, verse 34, listen what he said. Helbena, usuk shel bosem shereha ra. That means Rashi say that the halbena, the galbanon, it's a kind of a spice, but it has such a bad smell, terrible smell. It has a bad smell, terrible smell. And not only that, that Hazal say immediately, if that's what Rashi say, and Rashi explain, many of the commentary ask, wait, I don't understand. How come that amongst the 11 spices, we have to put a spice that the smell is terrible? It's actually beyond understanding. People can't smell it. If you slide that halbena by himself, it's terrible smell. Horrible, horrible, mamash horrible. So how come Hazal asking the commentary that you telling me amongst the other 10 spices, I'm putting a spice that is very smelly and its smell is actually terrible. So Rashi HaKadosh come and answer. Rashi HaKadosh say that the halbena, actually it represents Posh'ei Israel. What it means Posh'ei Israel, I will explain shortly. Hazal come to teach us here a very important principle that cannot be a davening or gathering of the Jewish people without wicked people. Posh'ei Israel. And we'll explain now what is Posh'ei Israel. Posh'ei Israel, those are the very far, very, very far from our holy Torah. That means sometimes we see Lo Aleinu, those Jewish people that full of tattoo from head to bottom. Not only that, they're full of earrings. Those that grown up in a kibbutzim in Eretz Israel, kibbutz, you know, that those that grown up in non-religious kibbutz doesn't know what is Shabbos, doesn't know what is Yom Tov, doesn't know what is Kashrut, doesn't know what is Taharat HaMishpaha. You talk to them, it's like you talk to them about aliens. They don't understand what you're talking about. So Hazal explained that Posh'ei Israel, that the halbena is parable to Posh'ei Israel. Those that far away from Yiddishkeit, that doesn't know even what is it. And Hazal tell us that the main reason that the Kadosh Baruch Hu told the Jewish people, you must put the halbona amongst the other 10, that the halbona will be the 11 spices, that you should learn from those Posh'ei Israel. I can learn from Posh'ei Israel. What can I learn from them? They don't know what is Shabbos. They don't know what is Yom Tov. They don't know what is Kashrut. They don't know Taharat HaMishpaha. They don't know nothing about Yiddishkeit. I must learn from them. Hazal say yes. What should I learn from them? Hazal say, when you take a person like this and you bring him to shul to daven, immediately you'll see that he's become very humble. Why? Because he doesn't know what you're talking about. He feels embarrassed. Why? Because he doesn't know what you're talking about. Doesn't know even how to daven. And Hazal come and tell us that you yourself that daven every day, that you daven in this shul, you daven in this shul, and sometimes you daven with this person that it's considered like a rabbi, the other one that considered is a mystical rabbi. You start having a bit of arrogancy inside you. Somewhere deep inside your heart, you have this arrogancy. Listen, I'm davening with those righteous people. Come Hazal and tell us, no, learn from that, Posh'ei Israel, that when he comes, he's embarrassed, he doesn't know. If you look at those that come once a year to shul, usually on Yom Tov, they don't find the legs or their feet or their head during the Yom Tov davening. So people have to help them, and nothing wrong with that. The opposite, we should bring them closer, we should do kiruv. But Hazal come and tell us that you should learn from them to be humble and modest. Why? Because by that you have a little bit of feeling like you're a tzaddik, like you can daven, you become arrogant. And one of the things that the Almighty cannot stand is arrogancy. When a person is arrogant, HaKadosh Baruch Hu can't be with him. And Chazal say in the Tanakh, "En ani v'hu darim b'mechitzah achad." That means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu say that him in a person that is arrogant and proud, him and they together cannot be together. That means HaKadosh Baruch Hu cannot be with a person that is arrogant. And Chazal come and tell us that the Helbena come to remind us when we sacrifice the spices during the time of Bet HaMikdash, and when we read the spices, to become humble and modest. That we should not gonna be proud. That's, we understand now why I have to be Helbona. But if we look at it, let's start to understand it in a deeper meaning, much, much deeper meaning. Chazal explained that we have to put the Helbena amongst the other 10. And Chazal explained to us, Rabotai, now I hope that you all sitting and you're putting your seatbelt. Well, one of the major things that people have chores in their life, that chores, when I say when they're battling with Parnasa, when people see that whatever they touch, nothing's moving. It's all because that they have arrogancy and proud. But I want to tell you a personal story that I have. I'm not going to mention him because you all know him. The person was very, very wealthy. And he was, a matter of fact, one of the big gvirim here in Joburg. And one of his weak character trait that he have a bit of arrogancy and proud. And he almost lost everything. Baruch Hashem, he didn't lose money, but he lost almost everything that he had. And when you ask him, he'll explain to you that was all because of his arrogancy and proud. He felt too much arrogant. He was talking to people like they're nothing. He was giving order to people like they're slave. That person, Rabotai, lo alenu, one of his rectification that you have to do is galut. He gone to galut. So let's continue. Chazal tell us that when a person becomes very arrogant, that's what brings on him all the chores. The arrogancy and the proud, people ask, why do they have chores? Why do they have bad decree on them? Why nothing's working for them? It's because of arrogancy. And if you check every person that have chores, it's all because of arrogancy. Why should I give? Why should I do that? Who tell you what to tell me what to do? How can you tell me what to do? And etc. The arrogancy and the proud is the source to all the sorrows that the person have in his life. Not only that, is the source that Chazal explained that if it's not only sorrows, lo alenu, sometimes it brings sickness. And if not that, Chazal tell us, and that's what we say, Ve'im hiser ahat mikol samamanea hayav mita. Mark, you want to look for it? Ve'im hiser ahat mikol samamanea hayav mita. That if he miss one of...
If he left out any of its spouses, he's liable to the death penalty.
What does it mean, the death penalty? Chazal explained it's not necessarily physical punishment of death. It's also spiritual death. that person that can lose not only his life physically, spiritual death, that he doesn't know anymore anything about Yiddishkeit. He's starting to lose. And that's why we see Poshai Israel that Rashi says. What it means, Poshai Israel? Those that far away from the Torah. So, Chazal said, by that you read the spices, by that you understand that amongst the 10 spices that have a good smell, come the helbena. The helbena is a terrible smell. That it's parable to Poshai Israel. Come to tell you that you have to understand that all your chores come because of arrogancy. And if you're arrogant, you'll have chores. So what is the rectification for it? Modesty. A person should act with modesty, to be humble and modest. And that's what immediately can change his decree. Not only that, Hazal tell us that you should say it 3 times a day. Nachon, that Beit HaMikdash, they used to do it twice a day. We'll explain now why twice a day and what was the secret behind it. So the Sfardim, we say twice in Shachar, and one Ben Arbaim. Ben Arbaim, it's between Mincha to Mariv, what we call it today. That's Ben Arbaim, between the time that it's still day, but it's still not night yet. It's still a little bit, it's starting to get dark. What was so important about it? Hazal said that the main secret behind us is to teach us modesty. But we say that one of the remedy of the spices, or what we call it, incense, was, okay, is the helbena, to teach us modesty. Why? Hazal said that when the Kohen Gadol used to sacrifice it in the morning, he used to do atonement to all the averot that we done at night. And we used to sacrifice it again when? Ben Arbaim. That means to do atonement for all the averot that we done during the day. And now we can understand why Hazal tell us that you should read it at least twice a day. Once in the morning, once at night. One before night. To do atonement for all the averot that you done during the day. At Mincha, you say it. Ben Arbaim. When you start to daven Mincha, you say it. Why? Because that's going to do atonement to all the sin that you done during the day. And why do you have to say it in Shachrit? To all the sin that you done at night. So we see from here that one of the most important spices and one of the important korbanot that we have is the spices that Hazal teach us. And to do the spices, to read it, many of the people skip it. I don't know why. Why people skip it, I don't know. But a person has to understand that when a person has the ability to understand that the idea of the helbena come to teach us that we have no ability to do nothing in this life. You know, some people say, I built the business. You see, I have the wisdom. I wrote that program. I have this wisdom to do that. And that's how I brought the business. Come the Almighty and tell you, that's going to bring you to proud and arrogancy. And it's in every profession, in anything in life. That the power of the spices is to teach us to be modest. But we have to read it with kavanah. And when you read it with kavanah and you understand that amongst the 10 beautiful smelling spices, there is also helbena, that the smell is terrible. Why? That's to teach us modesty. When a person thinks, listen, I have no ability to do nothing. Everything that I have in this life, it's all from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The chokhmah that I have, the wisdom, is all from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. To wake up in the morning, it's from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the health. The wealth that I have is all from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And if a person start to understand that, and he have a little bit of seichel, a little bit of kop to understand that, that's what will bring him to become modest and to be humble. Now that we understand a little bit, I really touched it on the top, really mamash kacha, mamash on the top, to understand the virtue, the remedy of reading the spices, what we call the incense, okay? And we understand that the source to all the problem that the person have in life is because his arrogance and pride. If it's health problem, if it's financial problem, anything that the person have, it's all because arrogancy and pride. So now, every morning, when you daven, make sure that you're not skipping while you're reading the Korbanot, or if you're not reading the Korbanot, you should take on yourself to read the parasha of the spices, the incense. Because in the power of that, we explain all the virtue, like we explained earlier. A person can become rich. A person have that do atonement to him all of his averot. A person that, the couple that battling to have kids, read it with Kavanah twice a day. They will have kids, as Rabbi Sternbuch say. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said that from all the spices he loved, from all the korbanot, that's one of his favorite korban, one of his favorite sacrifice. That's the ketoret. Why? Because we're joining the Poshai Israel, okay, those that far from Yiddishkeit, to us. We mean that we're doing a unity, but it's to teach us modesty. Not only that, we saw what Hazal said, that the reading of the spices with Kavanah can hurry up the redemption. And Be'ezrat Hashem, that we should all merit to have this virtue and the character trait, okay? To become modest, to become humble, to work on ourselves, to love each other, okay? And that's what will bring each one of us his own personal salvation. There is no one in this world that doesn't need personal salvation and personal help. That means that the ketoret can change bad decree on a human being, bad judgment on a human being. This plague in the world, now that we have the corona, if everyone would say with full kavanah, Rabotai, the Parashat HaKetoret, we wouldn't have corona in the world. Where do we learn that? From Aaron HaKohen. That when Aaron HaKohen saw the plagues among the Jewish people, Vayamod ben HaMetim ve'ben HaHayim, that he took the spices and immediately ran, and he stopped the plague. And he stood between those that was alive, those that was dead. So who that have a little bit kop in his brain, a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of chokhmah in his mind, not to read the Parashat HaKetoret slowly, with a bit of focus. So come 5 minutes earlier. Come 5 minutes earlier. Read the sacrifice. Read the Korbanot b'shekel. That will lead you later on to have humble, to become modest, and to cancel all those bad decree that the person have. All the trouble that there is in this world come from arrogancy. Now you say, how can it be that a person from arrogancy? Because arrogancy is the source to all the trouble like we explained. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu cannot see a person, that's maybe even a light word to say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu can't be with a person that is arrogant. Why? Because he takes his own crown. That person said, when he become arrogant, he said, I made my business. I built my business. What did you build? Gornish mit Gornish. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't give you the wisdom, you wouldn't know where to start. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't give you the health, you couldn't wake up in the morning to go and open the door of your business. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't send you the client to come to buy that product, you wouldn't have a business. So what are you talking about? So when a person becomes arrogant, he basically saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I can share the crown for me with you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu say, if that's the case, I'll leave you alone. And when a person become alone, that's when all the chorus and the trouble coming to him. And he doesn't know where it's coming, one after each other. It's like a snowball. It starts very small, but it grows so fast that he doesn't know. So it's come to teach us, Rabotai, the Pitom HaKetoret. Pitom HaKetoret come to teach us modesty and humbleness. And Be'ezrat Hashem, that we should work on that character trait, that each one of us will remember the Helbena, that have a bad smell, that we should not going to be arrogant, that we should not be proud, because nothing is in our hand. Everything is in the hand of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will see that we're working on our character trait, trying to be better people, trying to be modest, trying to be humble, and to take all of that from us, arrogancy that we have. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please God, will send us Mashiach Tzidkenu speedily in our day and build the third Bet HaMikdash. Amen. Ken Yiratzon.